Salutations from space and aloha from Earth. This is Gemini Brett, storyteller of more than astrology. Hear the secret. Gemini Brett is a Scorpio. Well, actually, I'm all of the signs, and so are you, but it's true that the sun was in the sign of Scorpio when I was born, but with a Gemini moon. And Gemini was on the rise, too. Well, cool, because I'm here to speak about the transformational, evolutionary shakeup of the dynamic dance of duality we are often called to play here within the beautiful realms of the Earth game. Today is Tuesday, Mars's Day, July 19th, 2016. I'm recording at 9:56:18 a.m. from home in Seattle, Washington, 6 hours before the Capricorn full moon of 2016. And this Capricorn moon in opposition to Cancer sun will align in T-square to Aries Uranus and will be member to a kite with Scorpio Mars and Pisces Chiron. Oh, the geometry of the great above that brings us into contemplation of correspondences here in the wonderful below. So perhaps today we will engage with the mysteries of sacred geometry to explore such dynamic duality, polarity, and syzygy in topics like spirit and soul, above and below, the fixed and the volatile, the one and the many. Moon and sun. So break out your compasses and squares, folks. Or I guess we could just work with some flashcards that I've prepared. Did you know that all of the planet glyphs, the traditional glyphs used in astrology, are composed of only 3 symbols? The circle, the crescent, and the cross. It's been said the circle is spirit, the crescent is soul, and the cross is matter. Why? Well, let's dance a little bit. The circle. Spirit. How would this be a symbol for spirit? Isn't this 0? No. This is the one, the all, the indivisible spirit. And it's a 2-dimensional image for this, the sphere. The perfect form, it has been said. And this perfect form has many imperfections, but aren't the imperfections also perfect? Now the circle, spirit, the all, the indivisible, and the symbol for the sun. Actually, this is the symbol for the sun, the circumspunct, the circle of spirit around this other circle, but filled in. This point, what's the point? Is this source? This all that is, this one, is actually the 2, or perhaps better said, the not 2, and that's a tale for another time. So here, the circle, the all, the indivisible. Now, we're often told that the all divided itself, the one, into many, so that it could see itself, experience itself. That spirit divided itself into gazillions of souls for this purpose. But you see, the indivisible, the all that was, is, and ever will be, is just that. It is indivisible. It cannot divide itself. So what it does to have multiple experiences is to reflect itself. Now what reflects the sun? The moon. So if we draw another circle of the same radius anywhere else within the original circle, we'll start to see crescents come our way, and 2 crescents. But then this is no longer a circle. This is the true image that we're going for here. All right, the circle of spirit and the crescent of soul, which is a reflection of the all. So every individual soul is a reflection of the whole. In a sense, holographic, soul is spirit. Now we could move our compass around and do this in many ways and find moons in many phases, waxing and waning. We could draw from here, or here, or here, or from here, or back here somewhere, because remember, the circle is actually a sphere. And we can see in this practice that there's an infinite amount of ways that we can reflect the all into these individual reflections of soul, spirit into soul. Now the symbol for the sun is again the circumspunct. And it's not just the circle of spirit, but let's use that for now. What is the symbol of the moon? Well, it is pure crescent, pure soul. The sun shines, the moon reflects. Yeah. And perhaps no reflection of the sun's energy is more profound than that from a full moon. Yeah. So if we take our compass and draw an equal circle, not from here, or here, or here, or here, but from here, or here, or here, or anywhere on the circumference of the original circle, we find our way to this form, this beautiful form known by many names. One is the Vesica Pisces or Vesica Piscis, or, well, there's more we could say about that. But one thing I'd love to show is that the moon can never look like this, right? When it's waxing past half or waning from full, it looks more like an egg. So we can't have this. However, we can have this. Yeah? And this is the image of a lunar eclipse, when the moon begins to eclipse the sun. It's a pretty amazing thing that these symbols I suggest of soul and spirit, moon and sun here in our experience of the Earth game, can be witnessed as the same size, showing us that soul is indeed an entire holographic reflection of the all, of spirit. And this is an illusion to see this in moon and sun, because we know the sun is much, 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 much bigger than the moon. But the sun is also much, 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 much further away. And so in this incredible happening, we see moon and sun as the same size. From Earth, there's no better time to see that happening than in a total solar eclipse. So in the Vesica, we find the mandorla, the sacred almond, and we can witness soul and spirit as the same size from here on Earth. Where is the middle of the Vesica? Now, it's interesting, and I'm going to speak one of the forbidden words of modern PC culture. A few of them: gender, masculine, feminine. You might prefer yang and yin, but okay. So, circles, the compass. Curves, often said to be the feminine, the holy. Yeah. Square, lines, masculine. Now, if you prefer yang and yin, that's fine. But I'm not talking about boys and girls. That should be clear, and we all know this, all right? The idea is that the masculine energy believes that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And that's true, especially when we're considering this strange phenomenon called time. So a straight line between A and B, but the curve might suggest it would be more interesting to take another and more artistic and individual route. The interstate, the coast. Okay. So these are two of the essences of duality we're called to consider here in the Earth game. And it is on Earth where we get to see that spirit and soul and yin and yang and so many other themes are in equality. In fact, they are members of the same. They are polarities of an essence that brings us to the middle way. We can't find the middle of the mandorla with curves alone. We have to bring these straight lines to the party. And we can find from this above and below, then using lines, the middle of them both. bringing us here into the cross of matter, into Earth. So the above and the below we see with our eye here in the Earth, here in the world of matter. We see them balanced, we see them in equality, we see that spirit and soul and so many essences are one and the same, the above and the below. Now this is the glyph for Earth, the cross of matter inside the circle of spirit. Well, aren't we told that we are spiritual beings having an embodied experience? I think the symbol proves this to be true. Now, let's talk about this, and especially this, another time. But for now, we will explore the ideas of sun and moon, of spirit and soul, and of Syzygy through polarity and duality, with Smurfs, or the astrological archetypes, Gemini and Scorpio. Okay, but Gemini and Sagittarius, now these are tribes that are opposite one another. Yeah, duality. What do they speak about? This is a very interesting question I ask all of my students to contemplate. Hot and cold are extremes of one thing, called temperature. Gemini and Sagittarius are extremes of one thing. What is it called? Could it be truth? Could it be the many truths? We are all having our individual experience. We are all aligning ourselves to our personal truth, the truth of our soul, maybe versus the truth of spirit, higher truth, truth with capital T. Is that what these guys are talking about? What about these ones, Aries and Libra? Is this not about relationship, selfness, othership, both extremes of this idea of relationship, both helping us to find the middle way, centered here in the earth of body and matter? And if we lean much more towards self, it's time to call in the lessons of other. If we lean much more towards othership, it's time to call in the lessons of strength of self. These teach each other and help us find the middle. In a sense, there is no Aries without Libra. There is no Libra without Aries. It's a Aries-Libra, Libra-Aries kind of thing that brings us to the middle in this regard of the way that Aries and Libra do relationship. And the truth is that all of these pairs are relationship. But what's Taurus Scorpio about? Now, I found this really opening for me when I began doing astrological readings for folks who were born in South America. And I, in one very specific case, was like, oh, this woman is totally Taurus. Every other word is juicy or yummy. Tantra, yoga, dance, these kinds of things. And when I looked at her soul song, her birth chart, there was no Taurus and a whole bunch of Scorpio. But what I was feeling was the spring. Now, does that mean for people in South America, if these signs do indeed carry seasonal qualities, that all the Scorpio stuff should be seen as Taurus? I don't believe so. But it helped me understand that Scorpio is Taurus, that Taurus is Scorpio, that they are polarities of one conversation that helps us meet in the middle. And I ask you, what is the conversation of Taurus and Scorpio? What is the conversation of Virgo and Pisces? And there are many gifts within the wisdom of astrological art that can help us explore this. For example, traditionally, Virgo associated with Mercury and Pisces with Jupiter. How does that help us discover what Virgo and Pisces are polarities of? What about Leo and Aquarius? Well, today we are called to contemplate, perhaps more than any other, this polarity. Cancer, Sun, and a Capricorn, full moon. Just as it is true that no symbol happening will reflect Libra light, like an Aries full moon. So it must be true that nothing can truly reflect to us that light of a Cancer sun than a Capricorn full moon. And this is happening today and tonight. So what do these two speak about? One word I would offer up is tribe. Some would say the parent, the mother, and the boss. All right, well, that's not quite enough for our circle and our crescent and our cross. But if you see this in time tonight to explore, I ask you to sit with the light of the Capricorn full moon. Now, isn't it true that we can't stare at the sun without going blind? You can do it for longer and longer periods of time with practice, but go for long enough and you will burn your retinas out. And so we have this great gift of moon and planets. The moon being this beautiful large orb, especially when it's full, that we can gaze at all night. Well, some will suggest that this will turn you into a lunatic. I have not found this to be the case, but we lunatics don't often understand that we are that. Anyway, so to really see the essence of even the Cancer sun, since spirit, great mystery, in a way is unknowable, we really can't look at it. We can see it instead in the reflections. And tonight, this beautiful reflection of Capricorn moon. A Capricorn moon reflecting what? Reflecting Cancer light. The sun and the moon, and there are many, many phases. It's all about relationship. Yeah, the phase of the moon is a pure symbol of relationship. Not only are we seeing the moon, we're seeing the light of the sun. And by the phase, we see where they are in their dance, one with the other. As from our experience, they move through our skies. So what are Cancer and Capricorn the polarities of? Is there a greater time for this contemplation than a Capricorn full moon? A Cancer full moon would do, and this contemplation of the polarity that is Cancer Capricorn is available at any time for me and you. Cancer, the waters of the heart, home, nurturing, family, tribe. The sun, that great light by day, great mystery, the key of the song, that which we truly can't look upon. And it's interesting when I'm speaking about home to hear the jackhammers on the street outside. It's hard to experience peace in such ruckus. But restructuring around my home, and Capricorn certainly is about structure. I like to call it the trunk of the tree, and therefore organic structure. But also the roots, dipping into the ancestry, the lineage from which comes experience, wisdom, to find eldership and teaching. It's interesting that on the traditional chart with Aries on the rise, we see this Cancer at the bottom and Capricorn at the top, because Cancer is actually the highest sign in the northern hemisphere sky, and Capricorn the lowest. Today's Cancer sun, when it culminates at midday, will be very high in our sky. Tonight's Capricorn full moon, when it culminates around midnight, will be very low in our sky. Cancer is a very northerly sign, the most. Capricorn, very southerly, the most. So the Cancer sun will rise north of east and set north of west. The Capricorn moon will rise south of east and set south of west. And as full moon is in opposition from moon and sun, as the sun sets, the moon rises. And as the moon sets, the sun rises. So if you're in a place where you can see the horizons, you'll really get to experience that. And you can play with these ideas of polarity, duality, opposition. Does that have to be this bad word? Are we being stretched apart or put together? Either way, we find the center. We can find the center of high and low, of north and south, of water and earth. structure, and home. And I would say that they both speak to this word that we call tribe, but in different ways. One is creator, one is caretaker, the other is the eldership and wisdom. It also has a caretaking capacity to it. And these two, these polarities, this duality that through polarity will help us find the Syzygy, are two of a square. The squares show us modalities. Cancer and Capricorn, being signs that begin seasons, are cardinal signs. Another is Aries. And this Capricorn full moon with the Cancer sun will also align in a T-square to Aries Uranus. The sun singing the key of the light of nurturing, creator, family, home. The moon reflecting that light from the sign of Capricorn, wisdom, eldership. And just in between the two, Aries Uranus. That's Capricorn. Aries Uranus, revolution of self. What's missing on the square, the cardinal square? Libra. And so we are here to fill that hole. There's an incredible star that will do so for us, and it is Spica, the shaft of wheat that the Virgin holds. Smurfette has the flower. But in the sky, for seasonal astrology, Spica in our day and age is 24 degrees Libra. This magical star, bright blue, often said to be a goddess star, completing the grand square with the Cancer sun, the Capricorn moon, and Uranus in Aries. Tonight it is up to us to fill the peace that is Libra, which is peace, which is serenity. I call on Spica to be a guide to help me fill that hole. Guides grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Let's look to Spica in the sky and play with one more duality dance to find the Syzygy through polarity and this peace on earth. With the city's jackhammers as my backup group, I will sing to you of another beautiful dance of duality we can play here in the Earth game called The Same and the Different. And the reflection of this in the sky or through the marriage of heaven and earth is viewed through lenses of diurnal motion versus zodiacal motion. We start at 1:13 p.m. on July 19th. This is the sun culminating. This is midday when the sun finds its way due south, and the Cancer sun is rather high in the sky. Now all of the planets, the sun and the moon, the zodiacal constellations and signs rise in the east and set in the west. And this is sameness. This is an effect of the Earth spinning about its axis. When viewed above the North Pole, the Earth spins from west to east. So what we witness is these zodiacal stars and signs and constellations and sun and moon and planets rising in the east, setting in the west. So I'll move forward through time. I'm going to pause for a second just to show you Spica, the shaft of wheat that the priestess holds. In our day and age at 24 degrees Libra and square today to the Cancer sun and to the Capricorn moon, which hasn't risen yet. Actually, as full moons are wont to do, it will rise as the sun sets. Everything rising in the east, setting in the west. Let's keep moving forward through time. Now Cancer, as I mentioned, is a rather northerly sign, so it will set north of west as the full moon in Capricorn rises south of east. Maybe I should get rid of that tree, but I think you get the point. The sun is setting way over here north of west, and the moon is rising here south of east, because Capricorn is south and Cancer is north. As the sun sets and the moon rises, Spica will be here just between the two because it's carrying that Libra side of the grand square with Uranus and Aries at this time at the bottom. So the same diurnal motion, effect of the Earth spinning, everything rising in the east and setting in the west. Capricorn rather south and low, rising south of east, culminating rather low in the sky. The sun, you'll remember, was way up here, and then setting also south of west, making a much lower arc, spending less time in the sky, and we could go on and on about that. But what I want to talk about right now instead, and I'm going to rewind time to moonrise, is the other motion, which is zodiacal motion. Actually, let's take it to the moon culminating. This is the middle of the night when the moon finds its way, the full moon finds its way to the south point. And what you're going to see here is the moon pretty strongly aligned to this star, which is the head of the goat, Dobby. All right. Now the moon moves very quickly. All right. So it rises and sets according to the motion of the sky. And again, that's diurnal, and that's the same, everything rising in the east, setting in the west. But zodiacally, which is west to east, the moon moves faster than anything else. So let me just cruise ahead by day. We're already July 20th because we've passed the midnight point. But here's July 21st. See how far it's moved by average 13 degrees a day. It's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Moving very quickly. In fact, the moon moves so quickly in this zodiacal motion, which is not east to west, that's the same. This is the different zodiacal motion, west to east. The moon will do this very quickly, all right, day after day, about 13 degrees per day, 27.3 days to make its way all the way around. Let's check out Saturn and Mars here, and I'll just cruise through days. I better rewind so they get closer to the top of the sky. Well, we know Mars moves a lot faster than Saturn, yeah? Saturn's very slow, 29.5 years to get all the way around. So as I move through days, you're going to see Saturn not really moving at all. The reason why we see them moving from east to west just has to do with time and things I don't care to explain right now, things that you probably already know. See, here's the moon just zooming through, and Saturn very, very slowly moving from where it was. Whereas Mars is moving rather quickly. See, there's August 24th. That's when Mars catches up to Saturn. Versus today, they're rather far apart. Yeah? So I'll just very quickly move through today's. Look how much faster Mars is than Saturn. Look how much faster the moon is than both. In fact, the moon is so fast, and I'll bring us back to today, that it explores this essence of zodiacal motion, or the different, right? They all move at different rates so quickly that we can witness it during the course of a night, and there's no better time to do this than a full moon, because we can see the moon all the way from its rise to its set in its full beaming glory. So I'm going to take us back to moonrise. And you might have already noticed a bit of a difference in the moon's alignment to what we call the fixed stars, because they are fixed in orientation to one another. Here's Dobby, all right, the head of the goat, right there. And see how the moon is towards the west of that star as it rises in the east. Now, diurnal motion, the same, is going to take the moon from the east to the west, but if you pay close attention, you will also see it moving in the other direction. Here's the time that the moon culminates around midnight, and it's almost at that point exactly aligned to Dobby, and we'll move forward and watch the moon towards its set, and look at this. See how it's almost past Dobby by before it sets. Yeah, I've got the moon increased by size so we can see it more easily. But let me go back by hours. There's the moon rising well west of the head of the goat, Dobby. And here is the moon before it sets. Not only will it have ingressed from seasonal sign of Capricorn to Aquarius, but you can see it moving past that star. Pretty cool, right? Now, it's one thing to see this on software. It's a whole nother thing to experience this with your senses. The computer is mind alone. Getting out there in the sky and watching it with your face is the body mind, and I highly recommend you do it. This duality of diurnal, the spin of the earth, bringing everything's rise in the east and set in the west the same, versus zodiacal, having to do with the earth's orbit and the other planet's orbit about the sun, or the moon about the earth, bringing us to zodiacal motion, the different. The same and the different, another wonderful dance of duality that we get to play with here in the Earth game. Videos like this will be coming your way very soon in video courses that I am creating. First, in a course of astronomy for astrologers called The Marriage of Heaven and Earth, which is due to come out sometime in the late summer of 2016, I believe. And then further down the road, The Art of the Chart, a video, of course, that then brings in the correspondences, the astrology, bring the above and the below together so that we can work with this movement of the planets as a yoga, as a spiritual practice. So look for those coming to you sometime soon. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this exploration of spirit and soul, of above and below, of relationship and tribe, and these many things that we've gotten to explore today. This is your friendly astronaut Scorpio, Brett, signing off. I will see you in space.